Trace, Dos, Uno.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Purple Chair podcast. I'm your color conjuring, hair healing, style sorceress, Laura Labuda.
Yeah, we just came up with a new brand for Laura.
It's going to get better every time. Yes, it'll get easier, yeah. And I'm hanging out here with Scott Fowler, longtime friend and owner of Palmetto Moose
Productions, Palmetto Moose Productions. I was trying to think up of a new name while rebranding. There's no moose in South Carolina, but I wanted something kind of funny. I don't really like the name that much now, to be honest with you guys, but it works. We're sticking with it, and it's slightly memorable. Palmetto Moose. People remember that part. They always forget the productions.
You know what's really interesting is that I tried to rename the Purple Chair like 4 times.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I remember you telling me.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, it was funny at first because Laura cuts hair in a purple chair was my Instagram, Laura cuts hair. So it's like, oh, purple chair, it kind of rhymes, but I didn't realize the branding that came along with purple, and then the unicorn thing kind of happened. And then I was like, is this really I didn't put a lot of thought into where do I see that in 10, 20, 30 years?
Yes.
But it's here.
Yeah. So now we're here, legit, the Purple Chair, and I'm the reason Laura changed her Instagram.
Yes, you are.
I didn't come up with the healing hairstylist name, but I said, Laura, she said she was interested, thinking about changing her Instagram name. I said, you have to do it today. And surprisingly, she did, which is huge for a small business owner to rebrand like that.
So you've been with me since the beginning of time, actually. I feel like I've known you So I just thought about this yesterday because I had one of my high school art teachers was here getting her hair done. And I was like, I have now lived my life with you in it longer than without you in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Same with you.
I think the first time, definitely not the first time we met, but the first memorable time I remember seeing you was when I DJ'd my sister's 15th birthday party. So this would be in 2002, 2000, something like that.
So long ago.
Yes, yeah. We've been alive longer than that. Yeah.
Yes. I do remember you we were at yearbook signing, and then I have a memory of you. I'm going to tell this story because we're here now. In college, when you would drive in between the white lines, trying to change lanes between the white lines.
So describe that for me a little bit. So what do you mean?
Okay, so we were driving on 126.
Okay, so you're in my little Honda CRX hatchback, this high off the ground.
Yeah.
It's got a loud exhaust on it.
We were going as fast. The lines were one straight line, and you would try to change lanes in between the white lines on the road.
Oh, yeah. So there's the white lines on the road, and then there's gaps in between the white line, and the goal was to go zip, zip, and we were probably doing over the speed limit for sure.
Our guardian angels were looking out for us. Anyway, the reason I want to do this, you were the starter of the podcast. You came to me, you're like, you have to do this podcast thing. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. No one wants to hear me talk. Well, but that's not true. People come and hang out with me. We chat all day long. The reason I wanted to create the podcast, but you were the starter of the podcast, is because I wanted to create a collection of all the amazing people who sit in my chair with me. Because now, especially because I do a one-on-one, nobody actually gets to cross over and hang out with the other person who's in the chair before or after them. And so nobody gets to learn anything about each other.
Yes.
And I think a hair salon is a great resource of information, and I have a lot of really cool people. So you were the one that kicked me in the butt to tell me to do a podcast, and you have been behind that camera watching this all. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic, it went, and then I completely forgot about it. And then you're like, oh, we should do this.
Yeah. So Laura came to her new location. I was like, why not start the podcast up? And the reason I did that is from a marketing perspective, people were asking Laura about it. There's what's happened to the podcast? Are you going to do another episode? And when even if just one person asks you something as a small business owner, that means you have lots of other clients thinking the exact same thing. They're just not mentioning it. Mm-hmm. They may have even thought about it at some point in the day. And by the time they get in your chair, they've forgotten. Mm-hmm. And so that's a true sign that it's time to do something and make a move when people are asking you.
That's super cool. You know what's really fascinating too is that our businesses have grown parallel.
Yes.
We both have oh man, I learned this thing. And then you're like, oh man, I learned this thing. You gotta bounce out ideas off of each other. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. You were truly the first friend of mine who owned a small business, who owned their own business. And so as soon as I did the same thing about 4 years ago, I just dove into those conversations with you. And in the beginning, it's all we talked about because you were a resource for me. You had had that experience and had been through this all the way back to Bella when you were renting a booth there.
No, it's commission.
A commission. Okay. But still, you're running your own business. You're making your own money. You're doing your own taxes.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know how that worked and what that was like. And I always look forward to us being able to like look at your numbers and see where you're going. And since then, I found a whole plethora of business owners through this referral group that I'm in to have that same conversation with. And I love still talking to you about it because now I can hear the perspective of all these different types of business owners.
That's cool. Super cool. So how did you start Palmetto Moose Productions? See?
Yes.
Palmetto Moose.
So I was a different brand before that, and I was doing a lot of weddings. And I started doing a lot more commercial work. And I realized that, for example, on my website, a potential bride who wanted a wedding video or photography didn't want to see a construction video or like a plumber's video right next to that. So I decided to create 2 new brands. So there's Palmetto Moose Weddings as the wedding brand, and then Palmetto Moose Productions is my commercial brand.
Super cool. You guys are so badass. I have such badass
You are
friends.
badass. Yeah. Look at all these tattoos. I don't have any tattoos.
You don't?
No. Okay. I got one that I got when I was 19.
So when I was looking for a space to open up my salon, when I got the idea, so I broke my hand and I had 6 weeks off of work and it gave me a lot of time to think. And that's when the purple chair kind of like happened. And I was looking for a place, but I didn't want to be like, everyone. And it's just me. And I've always wanted to just kind of keep it small. So I rented a booth in a tattoo shop.
Yeah, I remember
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like, I never thought, it's so weird. I ended up working with people in very niche positions. Like I never even thought of someone having a hair salon inside of a tattoo shop. Obviously it's been done before, but not in Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're really just on the cutting edge of doing things that no one else has done before. And I tend to gravitate towards those type of people and projects. Just how it works in my world.
You know what? I don't know that there's anyone else doing hair and healing together in Colombia either.
Definitely not. No way. We've done the research on that one. Probably not in South Carolina. Maybe there's someone in like Greenville or Charleston doing it, but they're not talking about it on social media like you are.
Yeah. So being in a tattoo shop gave me the ability to be like, oh, I had a cancellation. You had a cancellation. Let's hang out.
Let's do some work together.
Or do you want me to get a tattoo?
Yeah.
Super cool. But we were talking about a story on another podcast about how I wound up in Belladonna's, and I left out a very important detail that you reminded me of.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay.
Because I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. So you said it was one of your favorite moments from my whole progression of how I wound up here, but it was about the throwing the herbs in the corner when I baseball checked them. But I had already been thinking about let me back up and tell the whole story. Right? Okay. So in this time of year, it's funny because I came in this morning, I'm like, oh, I got to redo the flow in here because this is the time of year where the energy starts to change because the hustle and bustle starts to kind of
yes,
vibe up, and I have to keep it right.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're busier, your clients are busier. There's so much stuff going on in their lives that energy level is just spiking.
Mm-hmm. So what I will do at this time of year is change out the herbs and crystals and move everything around in here. That's why things get moved around so much, is because I lift everything up, forget where I put it to begin with, and put it somewhere new.
Yeah. So for y'all that don't know, I'm interrupting.
It's okay.
Laura constantly, every season, it feels, is rearranging everything in her place. And I kind of like that. It always keeps it new and fresh.
And so I created this big bowl. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember Rachel and I walking around and sprinkling everything. And then one day at the end, I had this whole big bucket left over. And I was like, we were really conservative because, Jen's like, oh, a little bit goes a long way. And so I took a fistful like an asshole, and I took it and I was like, in the corner, and what? Okay, so that was in November, December, January. That is where the car hit in the corner right there. Wow. But I had already been thinking should I be moving? Should I not be moving? I don't know. trying to decide, because moving is very scary. Now I've moved the business 3 times.
Yeah. So at that chucking moment, you were already prepared to go to a new place. So Laura you'd been thinking about moving to a new location. You had outgrown your space.
It's very small.
But had you spoken to the tattoo shop owners yet?
No, I
didn't think so, because it's just on your mind.
It was just in my brain. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about, like, I hadn't verbalized it at all. Maybe to you, because we do a lot of, like,
you had told me that you were thinking about it, but again, it was just very casual.
Yeah.
There was nothing official yet. And then all of a sudden you chuck those herbs in that spot, the car hits it, and now what you had been visualizing internally became very external.
Very quickly.
Yes.
In 2 weeks. Turned around in 2 weeks. I call it my chariot moment. So from like the tarot, however you want to say it, the chariot is like moving forward. And so I manifested a chariot through the wall. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm so sorry, Josh.
No, it's what was meant to happen. You were planning on it anyways, and the world just said, here's a reason to go jump. And you took the leap.
I did. So, as an outsider who's watched this career take many twists and turns, what is your overall perspective?
So each time you're growing. And so I'm more of a numbers kind of guy. So you're the busiest you've ever been, correct?
Yes.
So as you went from the tattoo shop, you were at one level busy. And I just remember I base it off like weird things like cars in the parking lot, people coming in and out of the salon as me as a patron just coming in. And I just see more and more people. I hear you talking about more and more clients. You're getting more and more bookings. You're busier and busier. And then as soon as the healing hairstylist came along, that was a huge monumental change.
It's been really cool to watch your business grow too.
Yeah.
Because Party Pants.
Yeah, Scott Party Pants has come a long way from EDM nightclub photographer to this Palmetto Moose Productions.
Yeah.
Commercial jobs. I haven't even told you yet, but in the business group that I'm in, it's called BNI. And some of your listeners may be familiar with it, but it's just it's similar to like a chamber of commerce. It's where business owners meet and support each other every week. There's this new guy that just came in with a company called Emily Marketing. They're a digital marketing company based out of Newberry. And I was kind of worried because I was like, I really am, if this guy comes in the group, he might take some of my business because he does a little bit of video work as well. But he just gave me the opportunity to quote a $55,000 job.
Whoa.
For 5 schools in Georgetown.
Nice.
So it's really exciting.
That's so cool.
And I mean, I'm really hoping that goes through, but he's giving me the opportunity to quote several other jobs on top of that. And it's just incredible how things happen.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I was just, while you were talking about that, I was thinking of the days where you would do Uber Eats or...
Yeah, I was not Uber Eats. You're close. I was DoorDash.
DoorDash. Okay.
But really Instacarting.
Instacart, yeah.
I was Instacarting full time for about 6 months and then DoorDashing it on top of that during 2020.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I told a friend of mine, Chris Zoris, we also both know. I said, hey, man, we need to start a company. Yeah. We need to start a company that delivers people groceries. He said, bro, it's called Instacart. And so then I went to work for them. Because there was no work for me at the time as a videographer. All my weddings, cancel. Yeah. I was worried about it. And I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. I was not ready to do that. And so I was like, look, I'll go deliver groceries. And I only had to do it for, 6 months. And after that, the work started coming in.
I remember bartending and hairdressing at the same time and trying to do the 2 things. And yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
It's scary to take that leap of faith, though. And when you take that leap of faith, again, I'm thinking of a tarot card, right?
Yeah.
The Fool. It's like jumping and not... It feels like bungee jumping, but without a cord attached to you. You're just like free falling and hopefully something happens. And we've both managed to manifest our life of our dreams.
Yeah. I see you in the next 5 years being a business consultant to other stylists, while also still running the chair salon.
I do like that it's small and a one-on-one. Like what I realized is, I don't know if you remember this back at the other salon, the big one, I would cut hair at weird times of the day because I didn't want, oh my God, I'm having a moment. I just remembered something.
We're having a moment.
Do you remember when we went into the back parking lot and screamed really loud?
Yeah, that was my idea.
That was a good idea.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, actually.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Yeah.
So I learned that from a book I had read about self-help, or maybe a self-help video that I watched. Actually, I watched a video where it was basically just screaming for like 20 minutes. They would tell you things to say. They would give mantras, and it helped so much. And I felt so energized afterwards that I often give that people advice who are frustrated is let's go together and yell. And a tip for people who might not know is your car is a pretty quiet place. So if you feel like you don't have anywhere to go, you can actually go inside your car and just scream as loud as you can, and it really drops the decibel level as if you're outside of your car.
Do you know what I do in my car when I'm driving down the road?
What's that?
A Zachary.
Give us a good one right now.
Oh, God. He would mess up his haircut over there.
You've got clients next door. Never mind.
It's loud. A Zachary. I'll show you later.
Yeah, you've definitely heard one before.
You have, yeah.
It's the call of the belly.
Yeah, it's a belly dancer. So it's like, okay. So there's noises that we make when we dance, right? And there's like a yip, and the Zachary is like a la 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 la, but really high and really fast and really like, it almost sounds like it really comes from like deep down inside. But it's like the scream in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's a positive affirmation.
That day, I remember that day because the sun was kind of going down. The reason I brought that up is because I cut hair.
Remember that.
That was a pivotal moment because I started to realize that I was doing hair at a time of day when nobody else was in the salon. Do you remember? I would do your hair and there'd be like 4 chairs and they were empty because I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll work late. I don't care. Like, I mean, now it's a lot harder for me to work late, but that's when I started realizing, like, first of all, my power. And then second of all, like, I really like to work one-on-one with people.
Yes.
Maybe 1-on-2, but like,
one of the first things you realize as a business owner, maybe not first, but one of those early things is you can control your schedule. So in the beginning, you want to work anytime, all the time, because that's how you gain business. You have to, you're growing. But then you hit a point to where, all right, I'm growth, I'm comfortable where I am. Now I can start to schedule things. It also happens when you start getting true repeat clients, which you have a lot more of than I do, but it's been the same way. Now, if someone wants to, meet me at 7 a.m., I'm not a morning person. And unless I'm happy to, if that's when I have to, but I would never choose to.
Right.
So I get to be the one to set the meeting times. You get to be the one to choose the times when you schedule your appointment.
Right.
Obviously, there's a back and forth with your client. You're working with their schedule. I'm working with my client's schedule.
Right.
But it's so freeing.
It is.
To be able to really have some control over that. And you were out of control at that point in time. You had pushed yourself to the limits. You're really unhappy with where you were. We did some screaming. And after that, you started rescheduling. Yep.
And you know what's interesting too is that I kept asking the universe for a break in that same time. I don't know if you remember, but that was shortly after that is when I did break my hand. So
I do remember that.
I always ask the universe now for like vacation to Hawaii. Like, be specific. Yeah.
Let's go to Hawaii. For all your mom's house fans out there, to that podcast, I want to talk about Hawaii. It's an inside joke.
Okay.
Yeah. What island would you like to go to?
Oh, I've been to Maui.
Oh, that's amazing.
Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No, I've never been.
Really?
Nope.
You have to put it on your bucket list.
Yeah.
Where's the furthest away you've traveled?
I've been to exactly 12 hours on the other side of the world of us, which is Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Thailand, Indonesia. They're all around that time. I've also been to Tokyo, so then they're way farther ahead of us, but that was just at the airport.
Super cool.
Yeah, they're probably like 16 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, so this past week I spent in like Nashville, outside of Nashville for a dance training, week-long dance training. It was like the most magical like girl weekend ever, but it was a whole week.
Yeah, what made it magical?
Oh, when women get together to create and to dance, it's like going to solve the world's problems. Yes, right?
I can see it.
Yes. Yeah. So the dance that, okay, let me tell you about that. The dance that I do, one of them, because I do many styles of belly dance, is American tribal style, known as ATS or Fat Chance belly dance style. It's kind of like a
mixture.
Like a
Remix?
No, it's like all those names in one. Like,
Okay.
her whole point is like just
It's a conglomerate.
freaking get together and dance, right? Stop talking about it and be about it. So the way it works is it's group improv, and there are cues for like, so when you see me dancing this style, none of it's been choreographed. So every time you see it, it's something completely different. Yeah. And there are cues like arm movements or like head movements or like, and they're very subtle. So even when you know what you're looking for, you kind of don't really know what you're looking for because you haven't figured it out.
You feel it.
Yes. Yeah. So there were 30 of us, dancing. Yeah, it was really cool. And some of the gals were from Japan. There was a lady from Canada. There was a gal from Mexico. Like, it was incredible. But this has become a worldwide phenomenon, like this dance form. And the creator, her name is Carolina.
Oh, so she was the creator of this.
She's the creator of it.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So she was also one of the teachers teaching, which was incredible to learn from the source. And but to get together to solve problems without speaking, right? So we're dancing, and because it's improv, like maybe somebody's out of sync on this side or formation is moved in the wrong direction or whatever, and you're always constantly like checking on each other. It was just the most incredible, like 5 days of my life, right? Because you're meeting people from everywhere, and it's
You got all this new relationship energy going on.
Yeah.
And then you're being hyper aware of everyone around you's feelings and movements. How often in the world, do you really have the opportunity to be hyper aware of how someone's moving?
Right.
It's not something that you think about.
No.
But all of a sudden when you do that, you're building an incredibly deep connection with these people.
Right.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, at the very end, everyone was like bursting into tears. We had like a 30-person group hug.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's such an emotional dance.
It is.
Compared to hip hop.
Yeah.
There's just a different level of emotion attachment.
Anytime you're like working with hips, we carry our emotion in our hips. So anytime you're activating that, you're bringing all that up and out. So,
what was your favorite part? The cry at the end?
Oh my God. So I play finger cymbals. It's my favorite thing ever. And I love some finger cymbals. Okay. So, I didn't grow up as like a musician or a dancer, but it was always inside of me. And when I started dancing with Maria, who I would really love to be in that seat.
Yeah, Maria, you're coming on the podcast.
Yeah. So the time that I know you don't have classes.
I have some weird way of convincing people to get on camera, so I'm happy to talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
That would be really cool. Okay. So she helped me find the beat in music, because when I listen to music, I'm not hearing that underlying heartbeat of a song, right? I'm hearing the like all the like
intricacy.
Yeah. And then the feeling that comes behind it, right? So she sat me down and she's like, all right, clap. And we would clap to the beat of the song. And then she's like, all right, you find it. All right. No, you're not doing it right. So we did a choreography that had finger cymbals in it. And so playing finger cymbals with music first, that was really cool. And then I did a choreography with her where it's just her and I playing finger cymbals, no music. We are the music makers.
That's cool.
Yeah. So my favorite part of the whole week was playing finger cymbals with Carolina, because it's taken me so long to learn, to train myself to do that. And I did all of that after I turned 30. I was like 32 when I started.
Wow. So were you allowed to take pictures or film at times during the event?
Yeah.
Would you do it again?
Oh, yes.
So I'm challenging you now in front of your whole audience. Next time you do that, you've got to create content around that, because no one else was. Sure, there were people probably taking pictures and videos, but no one was saying, hi, I'm Laura Labuda. What was the event called?
It was general skills.
So I'm here talking about general skills with, what was the teacher's name?
Well, there were 3 of them.
Okay. The one who started it, what was her?
Carolina.
So yeah, I'm here with Carolina, and that sounds like a really viral moment. That sounds something that at least a lot of people would be interested in and watch, because again, we're falling into this weird niche that I end up in, which is stuff no one's done before. So that's where my true, passion lies, where things have never been done, and that's your opportunity to do that. So you got to do it next time you go. I'll help you come up with a whole outline and everything. That way you just literally have to do what you've already decided. There'll be sure you can go on the fly, but if you have a plan, it's so much, and an objective, it's so much easier. to accomplish whatever your end goal is, which is really to create a mini series.
It was really hard to snap pictures, and because I am an in the moment person, which is probably why I forget to take a lot of pictures here and things like that. Because I'm like watching the hair swish out the door, and I'm like, and it goes around the corner, and I'm like, shit.
Well, yeah,
I have to take a picture.
I tell people this a lot. You're not a photographer. You're not a marketer. You're the healing hairstylist. And a small business owner and all these other things. So of course it's not going to be on the top of your brain. That's very normal.
Or when I do take a picture, it doesn't get out of here. It
just stays on your phone. That's another thing that a lot of people, especially photographers and videographers, when they first start out, they take a lot of photos, they shoot a lot of video, and they never edit it. They never produce anything because you get that serotonin release that you've captured it, and then you're able to just compartmentalize and not do it after the fact.
Okay.
So that's very normal as well. It's a habit you have to break as a creative. Is to force yourself to put the work. And then I went through this whole phase, because I've been doing this like 12 years now, where I would create content and then I would kind of edit the content, which I should have just released it. But I wouldn't, because in my opinion, it wasn't perfect. So there's a lot of unreleased work out there that I should have just released. So it's okay if it's not perfect and amazing. You got to put it out and move to the next project. Just keep going. Just keep pushing, keep posting.
I have a teacher who would say done is better than perfect.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And so now that's where I roll. When it's paid work, it's different. But if it's my content, I'd much rather just put it out and keep going and move on to something next.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
For you? Okay. So because you're your own boss and you make your own schedule, how do you find time for self-care?
Yeah. So how many appointments would you say you have a week on average?
It varies. Yesterday I had 9.
Some days you have like up to 10 clients.
Yeah, I usually see about 70 to 75 people.
Yeah, so I consider that as, because you're also super creative. So those are your projects. They're real clients with real people, real payers. Let's just look at them up from overall above objective. Those are projects that you're working on, 60 to 70 projects a month. I'm working on so much fewer projects than that, because they're big ticket items that I actually have a lot more time in my day than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because I'm able to find time for my self-help during that and to focus on
that you like to do
on healing. Really, it's just working out for me. I work out in Hot Works right down the road in Lexington. It's like yoga, Pilates, there's a row machine, there's a spin bike, and it's all inside of a 125-degree sauna. So it really helps bring me a lot of relief and release and healing all in one. And
those hips.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And movement. And the more often I'm doing that, the better I feel. And then it's also taking on personal creative projects. That's really important. And just finding something that I'm passionate about and want to create content about, even if it's not paid work, and just focusing on that as well. That's cool.
What's your favorite Laura story?
Oh, my favorite Laura story.
I'm afraid I just opened a can of worms.
Man, that's really tough. One of my, it would be when it's really watching you. My favorite Laura story is watching you, following you through your success. Starting at Salon Bella and then moving to the tattoo shop, which was crazy. I was like, how is this going to work? Are people even going to show up to something like this was what I was thinking. And then I was like, oh, this is really working. And then it's watching you move to Belladonna's 1 and then now Belladonna's 2. And following that success and then bringing in Huey next door. That's been wild as well.
To be on here too.
Yeah, bringing your husband along for the ride and like just all of that, watching you be creative. You're one of my most creative friends. And it's really hard to find someone to have those conversations with because you're a classically trained artist. And I kind of am as well. We both went to school for it. We took classes about it. And those are just really hard people to find in the world. And what's wild is that you applied your creativity to hair, which is really cool. It's not something that me, before knowing about all this, would have said was like cutting hair is cutting hair, but it really is super creative. And then also how you build the environment around you. And that's where the healing part comes in. That's incredibly creative as well. So you're doing great. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint this one thing.
I love that.
But if you really choose my favorite Laura moment, it's when I was riding on a motorcycle that broke down with you and Mr. Ashley next door, and all of a sudden he pulls up next to me. He's like, "Hey, your headlight's off." Like I could tell, like we're driving down the road and he's like pointing at it and he kind of yells. And then at that moment, all my gauges just go bloop and the bike dies. And you guys were like, "No, the rule is," because I was like, "You guys can just keep going, enjoy your day. I'll get it towed, whatever." And y'all hung out with me for a couple hours while we waited for it to get towed. And that was a really cool moment because I'd never experienced that before while riding.
Yep. That was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and that's just the way I've
There
learned.
was a janky gas station and we ate snacks.
Yeah. For sure. And we asked the guy if we could work on the bike in the parking lot. He was kind of hesitant at first, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun day. That was a really fun day.
I know, right?
Even though it was like not what we set out to do. I don't even remember where we were headed. I don't even remember the end goal.
No, it was just to make, the Newberry and back loop,
Yeah.
pretty much was all we were doing.
Yeah. Yep. You know, I think a picture from that came up not too long ago because it was kind of around this time of year. I think it popped up on my Facebook after we all got back
Yeah.
in our apartment
Yeah, I remember.
off of Broad River Road. And there's a picture because Ashley would, the Walking Dead weapon of the week. He would watch The Walking Dead with a different weapon every week, and I would post a picture of it. And I think that week it was all of you had something different, like a heart or something like that. It popped up on my Facebook.
I think I was holding my helmet.
Something. I don't know. I don't remember. I'll have to look at it, but that popped up not too long ago. That was funny. That was a good one. Oh, the memories we have and the memories we will make.
Yeah, we're still going. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
You know the answer to this.
What's that? No.
I have no idea. I just keep saying yes.
You gotta think about it.
Just keep saying yes. I don't really know where I see myself in 5 years. No. More dancing, more hair doing. I should give.
Yeah. You got to create content around this class because if there's people from other countries going there, then that means it's incredibly valuable. That's like a pilgrimage from someone coming from Japan. Chicago to Tokyo is a 14-hour flight. So to make it all the way to Nashville, they're probably taking 20
I think she said
hours.
it was 29 hours.
See, I was close. Yeah, it's really about 30 hours to get to that.
It was incredible. I mean, there were a lot of people from like that area, but there was, people from the country. Ladies from, I can't remember if it was Washington or Oregon, but in my brain, I'm sorry, it's all in the same place over there.
Sure. The Pacific Northwest.
Yes. And then there is a girl from Connecticut, North Carolina, South Carolina, obviously.
When's the next one? You have plans on?
So I want to study with other teachers. So like I do a lot of different belly dance styles. I want to study with other teachers. A lot of them are on the West Coast. It's really hard being a dancer on the East Coast because there are a lot here. And obviously I have a really great resource at the studio and who knows so many things. I'm so grateful for her. But I would like to travel to the West Coast again.
Yeah. Yeah, I love California. It's my second favorite state, Texas.
We're at in California.
Oh, Southern California for sure. LA's where my people are. Yeah, San Diego's cool. I've been there once. But I've been to LA several times. And I just love that that's where all the filmmakers are, the productions are. I'm a huge fan of comedy. It's where a lot of the comics are. So I know that it's a place that I could, if everything failed here, I could move out to LA and get work. I'd be working 16-hour days production on TV and film, but I could totally do it and I would love it. So just getting close to those people and being near them, that would be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Is that your goal in the next 5 years?
Definitely one of my goals would be to go out there and check it out. I would really like to go to the Adobe Max conference.
What is that?
The Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere. Every year they do a conference where it's about 10,000 people, and it's all the latest releases, beta testing. At night they have like free beers and dinner, and then you get to go meet with the actual software engineers who are designing Photoshop and speak to them about programs and like any issues that you have directly, which is something you could never do outside of that.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I got to see Quentin Tarantino speak at one. Yeah, that was really cool.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
so cool.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy that did Uptown Funk. Yeah, Mark Ronson. He was really cool. Got to see him speak, talk about being a producer, and then he did a DJ set afterwards. That was really fun.
That's cool. It makes you realize that these people, like meeting Carolina, who's one of my sheroes, like, they're people.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just people.
Just like
they're
anyone
people
else.
doing people things, right? And they're just out there they're following their heart.
Yeah.
As which way.
Yeah, and you just have to treat them as such. Yeah, I've learned
I fangirled.
Yeah, it happens.
It's okay.
Yeah, I worked around some pretty famous people, and you have to learn, especially when you're filming, to treat them very normal. You cannot fanboy or fangirl. That's how you That's how you get not asked back to work with them again, because they don't want that.
I know. It's okay, a little bit.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm glad you were able to fangirl. Wild Woman Rising. One of the things
like
that
me?
Laura, yeah, me too.
Your hair. You're on a podcast with your hairdresser. I need you to look better.
Is it down now? All right. Wild Woman Rising. So one of the things Laura does on her podcast is she takes one of her tarot cards, decks, and pulls a card and talks about it. So I'm excited to see what my card is today. So what separates this deck from one of your other decks?
So this is an oracle deck. So there's a very formatted way to do a tarot deck, tarot, interchangeably. But what I love about an oracle deck is that I don't have to memorize all 78 cards, which I'm not a person that memorizes the deck anyway. I tell a story from the card that pops up. But what I love about an oracle deck is that there's usually a beautiful book with a little description, and then like that gives you a little bit more. But you can do it the way you just tell the story off the card. Anywho.
Let's see what we got.
Embrace the internal mother.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a song about that? Peacock? Isn't there a song about that?
No, but I like peacocking. I enjoy that.
So this deck is, there is a calendar that I've been getting every year with the same name, Wild Woman Rising. I think it's the same, not the same artist, but very similar artist, but the person that wrote the... Yeah. Embrace the internal mother. Often our best efforts at giving and receiving are demonstrated outside of ourselves without ever giving ourselves the same generosity. The internal mother knows that you belong and that you are worthy of unconditional support, kindness, and generosity. Listen to her. Let her spirit nurture you. When we cultivate her presence in our lives and take heed of her messages of worthiness, a wild woman rises. I really feel like that sums up our friendship.
It does. I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Because we've been friends, loosely friends, like leave each other's lives and then come back, and then leave and come back. But we never missed a beat. And it's been such a it's just one of those friends that will always be a friend.
Yeah, something you'll always be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to embrace the internal mother within Laura and I.
Embrace your magic brain.
Yeah. I'll be less muggle.
Anyway, is that good wrap up?
Thanks so much for inviting me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm so glad to have you on this side of the camera.
I know,
I've been working on this for a very long time.
Yeah, she's been trying to get me to come off for years, y'all. So think of this as a very pleasure-filled episode.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it because Laura doesn't. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check it out on Spotify, Facebook, and that's it. Oh, it's on YouTube as well. So you guys can check it out there, and please make sure that you like and subscribe and leave a comment. And the most important part is if you have something you want Laura to talk about, hit her up in the comments. Send her a DM. If you guys want to possibly be on the podcast, hit her up in the comments. Send her a DM. We're always looking for guests. So like that, it's a wrap. Poof.